Sarah Ferguson just shared a huge secret about the royal family, the biggest one in many years. What you are about to hear was never supposed to be told outside of the secret places where it was first said. It started as a quiet talk in a fancy dining room in London, a room filled with soft light and secrets. Important people felt safe to speak freely because they thought no one was truly listening. This kind of story was meant to disappear, forgotten among the sounds of glasses clinking and laughter. It was never supposed to be written down, repeated, or made public. But it was written down, and now it is being shared. What it tells us doesn't just shake up the royal family, it completely breaks apart everything the world thought it knew about them. Because on that night, when she wasn't being careful and had run out of patience, Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess who has been through many hard times, finally told the truth. A truth she was never meant to say out loud. Fergie didn't talk about children's books or charity parties. She talked about Meghan, the woman who married Prince Harry, the woman who had become quiet in California. The woman who once joined the royal family saying she had never even seen a curtsy before. And then Fergie said words that made everyone in the room stop. Meghan wasn't new, dear. She was Andrew's girlfriend for 3 summers in a row. Just like that, the fairy tale broke, and the real story came out. Fergie spoke clearly and without stopping. She used a harsh word, a word that doesn't belong in children's stories or royal speeches. She called Meghan inventory. For most people, inventory means boxes, things, or lists of items that can be stored and taken out. But in the hidden world of fancy yachts, where rich people spend a lot of money, inventory meant something else. It meant women who were not brought on board as friends. They were not seen as equals. They were part of a secret agreement. And Fergie knew about that world. She lived near it, saw it happen, and watched from the royal house where every car was checked, every visitor was noted, and every secret was locked away. So when she said Meghan was someone Andrew brought on the boat for 3 summers, the meaning was very clear and cut through all the made-up stories. It meant Meghan wasn't a stranger Harry met on a nice blind date in London. She wasn't someone who just magically became part of the royal family by accident. She was someone already in Andrew's group, already known to the family, already part of a system Meghan pretended didn't exist. And just like that, everyone who heard the story, the whole world, had to ask a new question. If she wasn't new, what else was not true? When Fergie spoke that night, she wasn't just telling stories. She was pointing to something real and lasting in the royal world, like a name carved into a stone. She talked about the guest book at Royal Lodge, a quiet, strong house where Andrew once lived. Every single person who entered its gates had their name written down. No one was an exception, no one was invisible, not even people from the past. Her name is in the book, Andrew, Fergie was said to have mentioned in the recording. You can't burn the book, it's kept in the old records. Those words were more important than they sounded, because in the royal family, a logbook is not just a personal diary. It is proof. It shows when things happened. It is a witness that cannot forget. And if Meghan's name is in that book during the years she says she was nowhere near the royal world, then the fairy tale doesn't just bend a little. It breaks completely. Suddenly, every story about curtsying, every first time meeting the queen, every innocent smile becomes like a costume worn over something older, deeper, and already connected to the palace. And while Meghan may try to silence newspapers, threaten lawsuits, and delete photos, there is one thing she cannot get rid of: the ink that dried years before she ever met Harry. Next big secret in the story didn't come from a palace, it came from the ocean. A man known only as Captain X came forward. He was a captain who once ran a fancy yacht called the Lady Rose. This yacht was used by Andrew and his friends during the very summers Fergie talked about. He had been fired, told to be quiet, and pushed aside. But Fergie's words made him feel he had to speak. And when he contacted the people investigating, he didn't come empty-handed. He came with the records. Not the ones that were ordered to be destroyed. He had secret copies kept hidden in a safe. Inside those pages was a way of doing things used by powerful men who needed 2 kinds of guests. One kind was official guests, who took pictures. The other kind was operational guests, who stayed out of sight until nightfall. And next to the years 2014, 2015, and 2016 under operational was a name written the same way every time: Markle. The records tell a quiet story. 2:15 a.m., Meghan enters the master suite. 6 hours later, she returns to cabin 4. Cabin 4 was not for friends. Cabin 4 was for staff, and the captain remembered her clearly. She was barefoot, wearing a robe, smiling as she walked past the control room on her way to Andrew's door. He didn't know she would one day walk down the aisle of a famous church. He only knew what her job was that night. If the logbook was the first hint, the cameras were the big reveal. Fancy yachts like the Lady Rose are like floating kingdoms, and kingdoms worry about danger. That means cameras are everywhere: hallways, decks, stairs, doors. And according to Captain X, the videos from those summers were never completely erased. Hidden hard drives still held the footage. Moments were saved. One video clip, kept in a secret file, is talked about like a scary story. Meghan, or a woman who looks just like her, stands under the moonlight holding a thick white envelope. A man hands it to her. She counts the money inside. Then she nods and leads him toward the lower rooms with the calm look of someone who knows exactly what this exchange means. The time stamp on the video was the same day Meghan posted on Instagram that she was having a quiet weekend in Toronto. But the most shocking part wasn't the envelope. It was the rumor that the video drives had been taken years ago, picked up by royal guards and put into someone's private safe. Someone who has been quiet, someone who watches everything, someone Meghan once accused of being mean, Prince William, and the cameras never stop watching. When Fergie whispered her secret, she did more than just show a past event. She showed how a whole system worked. Andrew didn't pay her directly, you fool, she was said to have mentioned in the recording. It went through the Cayman Company, the same one that paid for the cabin's new look. And suddenly, a new secret way of working was revealed, one not made of wood or stone, but of money transfers and secret bank codes in other countries. People investigating found a company called Project Rose Holdings, a quiet business located in the Cayman Islands, connected mysteriously to the Lady Rose yacht itself. Then the numbers started to match up perfectly. Money transfers in 2014, the summer she was in Sardinia. Transfers in 2015, the year she was in Istanbul. Transfers in 2016, her new beginning phase. Each deposit matched the exact months Meghan was not seen by the public. And then came the clear truth. Her money from her acting job couldn't explain how she lived. Not her expensive clothes, not her first-class flights, not the personal public relations team she had long before she was famous. After fees and taxes, she should have been living carefully and simply. But she wasn't, because the rumor said she was getting $50,000 every 3 months, with no taxes paid and not reported, a regular payment from Project Rose. And if that money entered the US or Canada without being told to the government, then the sparkling problem on the yachts was nothing compared to the huge trouble waiting from the tax authorities. The sea kept secrets, but the bank records proved everything. While investigators connected the money trails, Meghan's home in Montecito began to shake. Meghan was said to have sat in her office, surrounded by papers, laptops, and the quiet sound of a paper shredder already tired from the night before. Her hands moved fast, deleting, erasing, wiping things clean, but numbers don't vanish. Bank trails don't disappear, and accountants don't forget. Are the 2015 tax returns sealed? She asked her business manager, her voice thin and broken. They were filed, but they can be checked for 6 years, he whispered, or forever if fraud is suspected. The word fraud hung in the air like smoke from a match, and then came the letter. Harry is said to have held it in his hand, the royal symbol pressed into the envelope like a warning. It's from P, he whispered. He's stopping the money for our security, says he can't be connected to a criminal investigation. Meghan froze, because if Charles knew about the Cayman records, then the royal family in London knew. And if they knew, then William had likely opened the digital safe. The walls around Montecito grew tighter. The ways out disappeared. This was no longer a story about yachts or quiet talks. This was a story about a kingdom stepping back from a fire and letting the flames decide what happens next. At the Royal Lodge, another fire was growing. Prince Andrew, the man Meghan thought would stay quiet forever, was getting ready to speak. Not about pizza restaurants or old bad stories, but about Meghan, about the summers, about the Lady Rose. He had lost everything. His important titles, his charity roles, his public life. But a man with nothing has one powerful weapon left, the truth he no longer needs to keep secret. Times are changing quickly, and everything is different. In the end, this story shows its own final picture. The Lady Rose is gone. Project Rose is stopped. The guest book is open. The captain has spoken, and the tapes wait like a shadow behind a locked door. History will not call this a sad event. History will call it a correction, because the royal family does not chase problems. It outlives them. And Meghan, the girl who once sailed into the royal world like a bright star, now drifts alone. Far from the palace, far from the fairy tale, far from the person she tried to make herself out to be. The game ended, the truth was found, and the story closed its book.